It's the Terrible at Fishing radio show on Gold Country Radio. Here's your fishing expert and host, Michael Ruffino.
Well, welcome back to Terrible at Fishing, everybody. I hope you've had a very good week. We've had pretty good weather this week. The ice on the lakes are a little sketchy. We've had a little bit of snow this week, but definitely take a spud bar out with you, which is basically a metal stick that, pole that you're able to punch in front of you to make sure that that ice is safe. Please be careful, especially around the edges of the lake. I mean, if you go out ice fishing right now, you'll probably fall through the water in the shallow part before you get on some safe ice. But I don't know if I'm too big for what this is calling safe ice right at the moment. But the rivers are doing well. And if you want some warm water fishing, go over to Bonanza in the hot springs in the Springs Park there right in the middle of Bonanza. That water is nice and warm. So it is really a good place to catch some panfish and some bass right now. So that's over in Bonanza in the Spring Park. You'd be surprised. You really would be surprised. They got a little dam right there that's got deep part right there, and you could probably pick up a few fish pretty easily over there. As for the other rivers, they're just not open yet. Not until next month, I think. But we'll get to it. We're going to be don't forget about the fly fishing meeting. Fly fishing meeting is second Tuesday every month over at the Waffle Hut at 7 o'clock in the evening. And it's a great club. You don't have to join, to come to the meeting and check it out. But you'll like the people in it. And they've got a huge, how many we got in that club, maybe 75 people. I mean, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. We serve refreshments there, and if you want to come a little early and order a meal, have at it. I was at the World of Arki this last week at the reptiles. I think it's third Tuesday. Every month they bring in animals, and it's free. The World of Arki, and it's over on Main Street, 1111 Main Street. And I just love this week. I had this red tail boa, really big guy. I called him Snoop because he liked to rap. So Snoop he even put my hat on. I had a baseball cap, and he got his head underneath my cap, and then in my cap, and then I took my cap off, and it was around his body. Snoop. Yeah. I didn't see P. Diddy. Oh my goodness. All right. Now I've been making baits. So that's been fun. Working on my spring collection and cribbage boards. So you can buy my stuff over at World of Arki, but I've been, my mom loved cribbage. I don't know how many people here, listening likes cribbage, but cribbage is fun, and making the boards is, it's addicting. It's all there is to it. Making a cribbage board is just very addicting. It's you could do it in so many shapes and sizes. I use hardwoods, and it's just fun. It's just fun. I think I've made 20. I know, it's crazy. I need to go to Cribbage Anonymous. Do they have such a thing? All right. Well, let's get on to fishing. The weather is improving, and that is really, really good. We'll be able to hit some of these rivers, like Lost River. Lost River does fish very well, and it's doing real good. Go to Bonanza. Give it a shot. I did it. Although I got frostbite, it was negative 10 degrees. So I suggest you do it when it's a little bit warmer. So, but I know it's raining today and tomorrow, and but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, look like we've got really good weather coming around. Monday and Tuesday, no clouds, sunshine, high 60s, maybe even 70 degrees. We're talking a pretty nice 2 days there. And then, we get some wind and some overcast in the middle of the week. But Monday and Tuesday look like really good days to go out there and start fishing again. So hopefully in your off season, you've spooled your reels, and you've cleaned everything up, organized your boxes. Yeah, that's what I should have done. So, these are things that, we should do. And we still have time. We still got time to do it. As for fishing line, I prefer, we all sort of have our favorites. Some people have, they want to go with Berkeley, and Berkeley can make some pretty good line. Me, I'm a P-line guy. I mean, P-line has been very reliable for me, and I love their fluorocarbon. So on my light rods, I use pure fluorocarbon on my light rods. And a light rod is what we use for trout, for light tackle fishing. And P-line, it makes a really good fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon, by the way, has very little, if any, stretch to it. So when you hook your fish, you can set the hook more reliably than you would with monofilament. Monofilament stretches. It's stretchy. And the fish can actually pull on it and create slack and spit out the hook. Where fluorocarbon, as long as that relies upon us, as long as we keep that line tight, we got that fish on line and are able to land it. Another cool thing about fluorocarbon has the same refractive qualities as water. And so when it enters the water, it disappears. It's like magic. It disappears. And that's the fun about fluoro. Fluoro in the water is invisible. And so now your lure or bait or spinner or whatever it is looks like it's just sitting there, taunting the fish. Other lines like monofilament or even braid, the fish see it. And they kind of learn. Fish do learn, especially bass. Bass are smart fish. Trout, not so much. Trout, not so much. They're not too bright. But let's say I do use braid on my heavier rods, but I put a leader on it. Now, what's a leader? A lot of people, I didn't understand this when I started taking fishing seriously. When you're a kid, you just throw on some monofilament and you throw it out there, or whatever else. I mean, you're just happy to have a hook on a line. I mean, we'd put it on a braided rope and pretend we would catch something. But a leader is a line tied onto a line. This is something, it's a special knot, and I do have a video on my YouTube channel that shows you how to tie this knot. Although, if you just do a Google search on leader knots, you'll see several different types. But one's called a blood knot, I think it's called, and that's the one I use. Not because it makes you bloody. I don't know why they call it that. But you add this line, you tie it onto your other line, your braid line. Now, the reason you do that is that you're going to tie on fluorocarbon, because we still want strength on our line, and we're going to tie on a thicker fluorocarbon, a higher test, onto our braid. Now, I have a 50-pound, braid on my super heavy rod, and that or extra heavy. The extra heavy rod has that and 60-pound fluorocarbon as a leader. And don't worry, this knot is actually just a little bit thicker than the line itself, so it still flows through your guides. You'll hear it though. You'll actually hear it go through your guides. It go, it's like, and you're like, ah. And it probably does inhibit cast a little bit. So put only about 5 feet of fluorocarbon on your line. This way you can have the knot outside of the end guide and you can still cast it a mile. And for 5 feet, the fish have an invisible connection. You have an invisible connection to your bait or your lure. And that's enough to not scare the fish away. And that's what a leader is. A leader, if you use a leader on line that fish can see. Now, obviously, if you're running pure fluorocarbon, you don't need that. But I will tell you something. You're probably asking yourself in a second, why don't you just use all fluoro? Well, the reason being is that fluorocarbon has a memory to it. And I tried it once. and fluorocarbon, when you take it off the spool, it's like a spring. It just remembers the turn of the spool, and it just remembers that. So it was so hard. So somebody told me heat it up. So I took a hair dryer to it, and that didn't work. So then I saw somebody say, well, put it in hot water. So I put it in hot water, and I tried to spool my my reel with it that way. Didn't work. The problem about heavy fluorocarbon, it is like a thick spring. Once the memory gets in it, the memory's in it. So that's why you're only going to cut off 5 feet of it or 6 feet, make a knot, and voila, be good to go. And this way you don't have to worry about that kind of spring that it's shrinking up on you like that, and popping off your spool. As for the braided line has zero stretch and actually holds a knot the best. Fluorocarbon holds a knot really well too. So braid to fluoro is just, that's just awesome. Braid line casts farther too. It's a smaller diameter, so you're going to have a lot more on your reel than you would if you had monofilament or fluoro. Braid line has a much smaller diameter, and personally, you don't get anything more than 4 strands. I have used 8 strand, 12 strands, and they make it sound like the more fibers within it, the stronger it is. Well, that's not what I have found out. I've used 12 strands and stuff like that, and they just break. And it drives you nuts, because when you're throwing a heavy, expensive bait, some of my baits are $50, and you're going to throw them out there. The last thing you wanted it to do is to fly away from you, and, forever. It's like, wow, that was a good cast, and then you notice that your line's slack. It just flew away. P-Line makes a really good. Quite a few companies make a very good 4-strand braid. And you'll see braid come in lots of different colors too. That's something interesting. So you're going to put a leader on it, so don't worry about it. But if you want to do a lot of sight fishing, you can get a bright chartreuse line, and you can see where that line is landing, and sort of keep an eye on it. Me, I kind of use moss green almost all the time. Moss green is, I can still see it a little bit, but it kind of sort of blends in with the water, and I kind of like that. So, but those are some of the different fishing lines that we want to spool our reels with. Now, we're going to end this segment, and we're going to go into how to put line on a reel properly. I know. I didn't know there was a good way and a bad way when I first started. So, be right back and enjoy these messages.
Out in the backwoods under the stars, I tune in the radio from my old car. Gold country radio on Friday night. Terrible at fishing, but it feels just right.
Want to get your business noticed? Sponsor a show on KKFO Gold Country Radio on 103.3 FM and create awareness through on-air announcements, our online stream at goldcountryradio.org, and our podcasts that live on forever. Your message reaches a broad local audience while also targeting listeners who choose to tune in to the shows they love. Plus, we promote your sponsorship across our website and social media. For more information, email goldcountryradio@gmail.com. Call 541-238-6989 or visit goldcountryradio.org. Gold Country Radio, your message heard locally and beyond.
The Terrible at Fishing Radio Show. Michael's got the secrets and now you know. Get line, you cast just fine. Gold Country Radio.
All right, welcome back to Terrible at Fishing. We're talking about fishing line and spooling. Spooling. All right. Now, most fishermen, they use a spinning reel. Yep, it's true. It's the easiest. Well, that and a spin caster. You put the line on a spin caster the same as you do a spinning reel. So just FYI. The trick to putting line on a fishing reel is to avoid line twist. Have you ever bought a store-bought setup, and then when you cast it, all that line just sort of got tangled up? It just fell off the spool. That was not done right. I have had fishing stores or tackle stores spool a reel for me. Not often, because I do it right. And what they'll do is they'll take a spool, and they've got it on just a big spool of line, and it's facing your spinning reel, and they wind that spinning reel, and it's pulling that line off of the spool. And yeah, it looks like it's working, but it's not. What ends up happening is that with the spool of line, rolling towards the spinning reel. I hope this is making sense. It's tough to do it on the radio. It's coming off the spool, and then it's winding onto your spinning reel differently. And so you're creating line twist. So when you cast it, it's going to just explode on you. And your line's going to twist up. It's going to knot up on you. It will not flow through your guides. You're going to really impede your casting. And it probably just will frustrate you. The proper way. Okay. So you're not going to have the spool of line roll towards your spinning reel. Does that make sense? It's just not going to roll towards your spinning reel. You're going to take that spool, and you're going to take the side of it is going to face your spinning reel. The side of it is going to face the spinning reel. It's like the face of it. And you want it to come off of that spool the same curvature as you want it to go onto your spinning reel. So it's going to just, it's going to come off, sideways off of the spool. And your spinning reel is going to spool it up. By doing this, you're going to maintain the memory, and you're not going to have a line twist to it. So I hope this is making sense on the radio. So the flat side of the spool, or the spool of new fishing line, is going to face your spinning reel. And then you're going to put it on your spinning reel. It's going to fall off that new spool off the side of it. This is the way you do a spinning reel spooling. So if you do this, you will have probably the best cast that you will ever have. So if you put braided line on it, you're going to cast farther. It's just the way it is. It just flies through your guides and flies off of it, and you put more line on it because it's smaller diameter. And if you use braid, then don't forget to put a leader on it. So you could do that. Now, I go pure fluorocarbon when I'm doing my lightweight stuff, which is 4 pounds, maybe 6, but 4 pounds test or 2 pound test. And that casts really, really far, but I can go pure fluoro without worrying about that memory on it. But if you do this, if you do your spinning reel this way, remember the flat side of that new spool of line is going to face your spinning reel, and it's going to just come off of it, and then as you reel it up, reel it onto your reel. Now, bait casters. Okay, I'm a big bait caster guy. I mean, 9 out of 10 of my rods are bait casters. So, a bait caster, that one you're going to take off of a spool of line. It's going to roll towards your bait caster. So you've got 2 spools that are going to face each other, and they're going to just feed one off of the other. It's the easiest. Okay, it's the easiest to spool a bait caster. It's really, really, really easy. You don't have to worry about it sideways and whatnot. When you do this, you want to create a little bit of tension, not a lot of tension. Not a lot of tension, a little bit of tension. All right. I typically will feed it through the first guide on my rod. I have some broken rods, so I have a broken rod, okay, and I'll put the line on the end of that rod through one guide, and that allows that line to come onto my spool in a nice even way, and I can pinch it, just pinch it a little bit, and I create a little bit of tension while it is feeding onto my reels. If you do that, you'll actually be able to get a really good feed onto it, and you'll be able to use it reliably this year. And that's just the way you do it. Now, a lot of people they don't know how to store okay, their rods. They really do tighten it up and maybe even bow their rod. But you don't need to do that. If you notice on the side of a spinning reel, there's a little bit of like a nipple, okay, on the side of it. When you store your stuff, you don't even that line's not going to feed through all. Go through all your guides. It's just going to come all the way down to your reel, and that little nipple that is on the side of your spool, you're just going to put that string around it, and that holds your string. Now, there is something that this year, if you buy my bigger baits, you'll see that I'm giving away free with my baits. It is a bait cover. All right, it's really thick vinyl with Velcro. And when I'm fishing or even storing or putting it in my car or whatever, these things fold over the rod, the shaft, or properly named the blank. And then it envelops the bait. If I keep a bait on my rod, which is fun to do, because it's all ready to go next time, I fold it over and it Velcros around it. it protects me and my bait and my other rods from being entangled with each other. And I use really good hooks. I just touch it and it'll pierce me. So a bait envelope, like a bait keeper. I think it's probably a bait keeper. It's called. I don't know. It's just a plastic, thick vinyl plastic envelope that is open and then closes with Velcro around it. And boom, you got yourself a pretty cool way of keeping your baits from, sticking somebody and then tangling up with your other rods. I think I shared something with you guys one time where there's this app I use called Fish Techie. And Fish Techie, it's a free app. FISHTECHY. And Fish Techie will measure your fish, measure the girth of it, the length of it, and weigh it with a picture. This is probably the coolest form of AI I have ever seen in my life. You buy these little balls, and they're called proof balls. And you get 2 of them, and they're 1.4-inch orange balls. And you get I got these on Amazon, and and these are called, I think you look it up under Fly Techie. I don't know why it's different. The app's called Fish Techie. The proof ball is called Fly Techie. And all you do, if you came to the ice fishing derby, you saw me use it. It was so much easier. I just put the ball next to every fish, took a picture, and it weighed it, measured it, and boom, boom, boom. I just put people's names on it. And it was just so easy. So easy to do. Fish Techie is one of the coolest things. It's about 96% or so accurate. So for the most part, I mean, it's awesome. It really is a really cool thing. There's so many different ways. Normally we shock the fish. So typically, I always catch and release. So here I've got this big fish, and first I got to remove the hook. So he's out of the water while I'm removing the hook. Then I'm measuring it, and then I'm weighing it. There's a lot of shock to the fish. Well, this way, all I got to do is lay him down, put a ball next to him, take a picture, boom, done deal. And then I can put it back in the water. That is a very cool thing. It creates better survivorship for the fish. And then it also, it's just a lot easier. And you got a picture of it. And it's just cooler. I just think Fish Techie is one of the cooler gadgets. It's a free app. But, the ball costs, a few bucks. But, they give you 2 of them. Mine, I keep one on my keychain, and then, one's in the box above my head here, in its little proof ball box. It's fun to watch it do its job, too. It really is. So there are some, it's going to be fun to get back out on the water this year. And I was beached for pretty much the whole ice fishing season. And I'm looking forward to getting back out on the water and doing some river fishing, learning how to fly fish. That's going to be exciting. Something I've only done once. It was like 1989. It was a long time ago. I'm old. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the show this week. Visit our all the new sponsors, on the channel, supporting community radio. World of Arki is a great family fun center. It's really a neat place. And then when they get the animals in there and stuff, it is so cool to have. That big old boa was massaging my neck. I don't think it meant to massage my neck, but it felt pretty good. Take care, everybody. Tight lines, and we'll see you guys out on the rivers.
That was Terrible at Fishing, the radio show, with fishing expert Michael Ruffino. Check out Terrible at Fishing on YouTube, and tune in next week for the next episode and more great fishing tips. Terrible at Fishing, Fridays at 7 p.m. on Gold Country Radio.